Now go.
I think you are now ready. Ready to hear what happened 100 years ago. The words of guidance you have been hearing since your awakening from Princess Zelda herself. Even now, as she works to restrain Ganon from within Hyrule Castle, she calls out for your help.
Hello and welcome to Comics to Console Crusade. This is the Pat. This is the Pat. This is a great start.
It's me, Pat.
Yeah, hey, Pat.
It's me, Pat.
This is a podcast where Pat, Joe, and I comb through my extensive yard sale acquired retro video game collection to discuss the best and worst of comic book oriented video games. I'll tell you right now, Joe is unable to join us. He is on assignment right now. He's we can't talk about it. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. Mysterious. Today's featured game is
Deadpool here. I see you looking at me like, where do I know him from? Let us help you out. Marvel, anti-hero. So yeah, kind of a big deal. In fact, Marvel hired the best editors in the world to create an expensive-ass trailer for my new game. But we took all their money and made our own trailer. Booyah! You start with weird, droney music, everything dark and foreboding that's all apocalyptic and stuff. Screw this! Let's torch this mother! Bang, 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 bang! What the? Quick shot of our sweet guns. Surprise, Cable, old buddy! Quick shot of some awesome bazookas. No, not Cable's man bazookas! Oh, yeah! Let me help you out there, partner. Well, there goes our budget. I'm making art here! Bring that beat back! Bang! Bang! Fly or die! And if that don't put skid marks in your pants, wait till you see this. Really? Explosion! Hell yeah! Damn it, I asked for Steadicam. Sayonara, biatches.
Deadpool from 2013. Before we get started, let's meet the host of the show. We'll introduce each other and we will ask each other to describe Deadpool in just 3 words. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Pat. Pat, if you would be so kind as to give me the first 3 words that pop into your mind when you think of Deadpool on Xbox 360 or PS3.
Fourth wall breaking. And with that, I am now going to introduce our on-staff non-musical genius, Jarrod. What are your 3 words on Deadpool?
I'm going with, those aren't my 3 words. Those
I'm going with.
Anyway.
Well, you're right. Okay, I'll give it to you.
And this is going to be a weird one. And I'll explain why it's weird later. But I'm going with Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool.
Okay. Interesting. You have me intrigued.
And since we don't have Joe November here to do the musical segment, we're going to not have the musical segment later on, which is sad. We'll all be sad about that. But I'll use that time right now to tell you why it's weird that I think this is a Ryan Reynolds Deadpool game.
All right.
Because this game came out in 2013 and Deadpool 1 didn't come out until 2016. But man, it felt like a Deadpool movie game. Didn't it? Didn't it feel like it was based around the movie Deadpool more so?
I hate to admit it, but I have not seen the first or second Deadpool. I've only seen the third one.
Well, then you've seen the first. It's the same. The same, vibe
of it. Okay. We know Ryan Reynolds did play Deadpool previously, and
true. But
and that character was being built as it went along there, right?
Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll talk more about it as we get into it. Normally at this point, we throw it over to Joe to take a look at the specs, but you know what? I'll take care of the specs of Deadpool in a segment we like to call All Your Specs Are Belong to Us.
How are you, gentlemen? All your base are belong to us. You are on the way to destruction.
Alrighty. Deadpool was released on June 25th, 2013 on Xbox 360, PS3, and the PC. It was released again on November 17th, 2015 for the Xbox One. Publisher is Activision. The developer is High Moon Studios. It is a third-person action-adventure game with a single player. And now I'm going to pass it back to myself to use my yard sale to eBay skills for a segment we call Cached Memory.
Jarrod, tell me a little bit about the cache memory on this with your yard sale skills.
I am thrilled that you inquired.
Yes.
This game, and I think it's due to the success of the film franchise, really holds its value, and in some instances exceeds its value. If you find it basically loose, like disc only, you can get $50. If you find it complete with the case and the manual, you're looking at $75. If you find a factory sealed copy of it, you're looking at $150. So yeah, this one.
Little tidbit here that I learned when doing some research on this game is not because of the Deadpool. It's because Activision owned the license for this. And this is at the time where they lost it. And so you cannot find this game anywhere anymore. It's not on any of the game streaming anywhere. It got delisted.
Oh, so it's like real hard to find a digital
It's hard to
copy.
find it's hard to find a hard copy. Well, yeah, it's hard to find because it got totally
so you can only
delisted.
play it in hard copy.
You can only play it in hard copy now. Yeah. So that's why this one, and you're right. I would assume because of the Deadpool as well, but it got, I think it was around 2015 or somewhere on there, delisted off of all that stuff because Activision lost the license.
The license went away. Okay, that makes sense, actually. Okay, that's cool. Now that we've got that hashed out, let's take a quick podcast promo break, and we will come back and talk about the gameplay of Deadpool.
Hey folks, I want to tell you about Magazines and Monsters, a podcast that's dedicated to comic books as well as classic horror and sci-fi films. This podcast channel contains a bunch of shows like the Bronze Age of Horror Comics, a podcast that's, well, it's about Bronze Age horror comics. There's also The Brave and the Bob, a show celebrating Volume 1 of The Brave and the Bold from DC Comics and all things Bob Haney. But hey, let's not forget the main show itself, Magazines and Monsters, which rotates between old-school horror and sci-fi films with a heavy emphasis on the British studios Hammer and Amicus. Plus, you'll get a selection of episodes about comic books, ranging from DC to Marvel and everything in between. So join your host Billy D and a few of his favorite friends for a fun and positive look at his two favorite pastimes. Find Magazines and Monsters now on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back for the break. We hope you enjoyed the promo from that friend of the show. All right, let's talk about the gaming experience of Deadpool. We'll discuss our highs, lows, what does, you know how we do, around the game, and then we'll wrap it up with our final verdicts and rate it on our 1 to 10 scale. So let's get into round one. Pat, you want to start us off with a high, a low, or a what the?
I'll start us off with a low. Let's just start off kind of, but then hopefully, like you, and the next round I can do a high. But my low, and it's not a bad low. It's just in doing some research and watching some gameplay of this particular game. I haven't played it, but I've watched some playthroughs. What I'm noticing is that in the combat areas, there's some laggy choppiness that is happening in some of the combat. So that can kind of throw you off, and along with some potentially hitting a button. If you don't time it right, you can teleport. You can teleport at the wrong time, because if you're supposed to hit a button, but if you hit that button at the right time, it'll do a bigger combo-y kind of a thing. But if you don't, it'll teleport you and screw your action, you know what I mean, what you want to do, and screw you up, because then you just got teleported to another spot that is like, oh, crap, I'm screwed. Then I got to try to figure it all again. But combat-wise, it's not bad. It's just, I think, a little more polish or a little more work needed to kind of work that out a little bit. Jarrod, do you have a high, low, or a what for this?
I do. I have played and defeated this game back in the day, as the kids say. And you know what? Now, let's get our lows out of the way. Let's just do a low round off the bat. I have the same low for this game that I have for the Deadpool movies.
Okay.
And remember how I said up front my 3 words were Ryan Reynolds' game? This game, even though it came out 3 years before the first Deadpool, has that same Ryan Reynolds vibe to it, in that this game is rated M for mature. It's got language in it and that kind of stuff, which has really become synonymous with the Ryan Reynolds trilogy of Deadpool films. And everybody loves it, but I'm just like, a bugaboo of mine is I know Deadpool from the comics, and it was never a rated R comic. It was never a rated M comic. I don't know why it took this turn to, maybe at some point did he get a Max comic book line? I don't remember that. I don't think he did.
You know, I don't know why either. And I think kind of feel what you're saying too, is that it's just like, okay, overdone, it's welcome already, or just like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm coming from the early comics too of Deadpool, where, you know, he had the miniseries that I have the miniseries, and I have, you know, that buildup. I haven't read anything after that. So when he started
that
to
is
change,
where he gets fun. When Joe Kelly takes it over, he gets a little more fun, and I don't mind the fun. It's just I don't understand why we have to ramp it up with the language and the extreme violence and all that stuff. But that's how Deadpool's known now. I mean, that's his pop culture persona. Yep. And I know I'm sort of this old man going on 50. I view things through a different lens now because I have kids. Jarrod in his 20s probably would have loved this. Always edgy, and he's foul-mouthed, and he's, and all that stuff. And it's like, I don't need that in it. Now, I will say it doesn't detract from the game. It does detract from the game, much like it does for the movies for me as well, but not to the point where I don't enjoy it. So I still
get it.
Had a good time with the game and all that, but the old grumpy man in me now is just like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, I get it.
But yeah, I'm looking at the website right now just to go back to what you talked about earlier, Pat. Yeah, I think I mentioned this earlier. On November 18th of 2015, I mentioned it was on Xbox One. I forgot to mention it was also on PS4 and Steam. And so 2015, they still had the license, but it was November 16th of 2017. The game was removed from digital storefronts due to licensing. So, yep, there you have it. Yeah. If you want those specific dates, where I got the hard-hitting news for you here at Comics Console Crusade. Anyways, enough of that. Let's go into round 2. We put out our bugaboos round 1. Let's say something nice about it. What do you got, Pat?
If you're looking for a good game in between maybe some deeper games that you're playing, like I'm a big RPG guy. So if you are, hey, I just got done off of a 40 to, 100 hour, 80 or 100 hour long play of a game, and man, I need something to cleanse my palate, this would be a game for you. Simple combat action. It's a simple gameplay. It's just trying to be Batman Arkham in a way, or it's trying to be like the Spider-Man was at the time. You're just kind of making your way through certain sites. And the funny thing is, I liked the actual bits in here where he's breaking the fourth wall about the actual video game stuff. You know what I mean? Like in the beginning of it, it's like you tell him to get up or whatever, and boom, you get an achievement right away. And then you get another achievement for just making an achievement. And then, it's like, oh, yeah. And then when he gets into the sewer for the first time, oh, it's another one of the sewer.
Oh, sewer levels, everyone's favorite.
Yeah. He's making fun of that video game genre that I thought was kind of cool. And he's making fun of the company that was building this or making this. He's making fun of High Moon Studios and people like that. And so it was kind of cool to see that part of it. Maybe just because it's more of a fresher take than what, just the comic book stuff. He's also breaking it with some other non-comic things. In another realm of one of my loves is, video games and achievements and things like that. So I enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah, it definitely has a fun factor. It definitely has, if you love the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool trilogy, 0.5.
This game would be for you.
Once Upon Deadpool, it's definitely for you. It's not, like I said, Ryan Reynolds hasn't taken over the character fully yet. That's 3 years away, but it is definitely the essence of it. It's really the stepping stone that gets you to those Deadpool movies for sure. It has a fun factor. The high I'll give it in this round kind of goes along with what you said. I enjoyed the variety of the gameplay, that they didn't forget any aspect of Deadpool in the combat. There's different weapons to choose from, to include the swords. I thought the swords were cool. They remembered his teleportation. You mentioned that. A variety of guns to use. So yeah, and of course he wisecracks all the way through it, which it's one of those things where I'm going to put that as a by the way, because it's real fun and clever at first, but it gets to the point where you realize the voice actor has recorded maybe your 20 or 30 funny lines, and they start getting repetitive.
And you'd have to think, you're not really sure on what the budget was for this game, and they kind of make fun of that too in the game, where all of a sudden they go to like a lower 8-bit, 16-bit, kind of a level. And then Deadpool's like, "Hey, why were you like this? What's wrong with what's happening?" And the guy's like, "Well, we told you about the budget."
That's right. I forgot about that.
So you kind of got that, that Zelda-esque kind of view for a little bit of a level, but which was kind of cool and clever. But you didn't really know what the budget was for it. So was this a AAA game? Maybe not. Is it a AA game? Probably, just because it's Marvel and they wanted to get this out there. So
yeah, I wonder if it would have hit bigger if it did come out maybe post first Ryan Reynolds movie. But man, for that movie not being around for it to base itself off of, it is awfully close.
Yeah, and even in there, they make a joke in the early beginning of the game when he's checking his answering machine. He's like, "Why is this Ryan guy keep calling me?" I thought it was kind of a little funny.
It was. It does have some good humor. It definitely has the self-awareness that you look for. The graphics look good. There's some big boss moments that feel big. They do a good job doing that. They do use a good variety of other Marvel characters, some smaller name characters that probably wouldn't get shouted out in other games and stuff too. So that's kind of neat. What else do you have left in the tank, Pat?
That's about it, Jarrod. I really feel that this is a good palate cleanser for you on this game. Graphics, as you mentioned, I thought were good. Definitely nothing wrong with that for the time of when it came out. It had that little more grittier look, like it's trying to be kind of that Batman, Arkham, darker feel aesthetics to it. But when it needed some color and pop, it did it. And I felt that helped enhance either the storytelling that was going on. And, basically the story is just Deadpool wants to create his own video game. And so he goes to the studio to have him do it. They say no, but then that does something where he can go back in time and fix it or something. I didn't get that part of it, but it fixes it. They give him a script. He doesn't read the script. He rewrites the script, doesn't know what's happening through the whole game, why he's fighting, the big bad and all that. And I think the big bad is Mr. Sinister. So yeah, kind of fun, interesting, and just a good palate cleanser of a game.
Yeah, speaking of palate cleanser, I noticed, like I said, I played it through back in probably 14-ish, 10 years ago. So my memory of it isn't the best. So I'd like you to refresh on it, watch some YouTube videos. It looked to me like a standard playthrough video on YouTube was about 4.5 hours.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
Yeah, I think you're looking at about 4.5, 5 hours of gameplay. So, not a huge commitment, but enough to sink your teeth into. So, yeah. All right. Now, normally this is the part of the show where we'd hand it over to Joe for his musical segment, Superconductor. And unfortunately, Joe couldn't be with us today. And well, Pat and I just aren't good at that segment. So
we are not musical geniuses.
We are not musical geniuses. All I can say is the music in the game, I don't feel either way about it.
Yeah.
If you told me they didn't have a ton of music in there, I think it's got some standard.
It's got some stuff, but nothing that stood out to me.
Yeah.
When listening to the playthrough of it, it was like,
It does its job. It's not distracting, but it's not quite as enhancing as maybe, as mentioned, Arkham Asylum game.
I think the star that was meant to be in here is the jokes and things like that.
Yeah, the voice acting definitely takes the front stage. All right, but with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Pat for our segment called Reformatted.
Well, thank you, Jarrett. And in Reformatted, we're going to find out how well do you think this game captured the essence of the comic book? And I think we've already kind of figured a little bit of that out already. But Jarrett, tell me, how did it capture the comic for you of what you know of Deadpool?
Yeah, I did tip my cards early in that I feel like this is more tied to the movie version of Deadpool than it is the comic version of Deadpool. But I also think it probably walks the line the best. Most likely the fact that it came out in 2013 before the Ryan Reynolds first one hit. So this is a good bridge to that Ryan Reynolds trilogy. I've mentioned that before. I think there's a lot from the comic book in it. I mean, I think he looks right. I think the guest stars and the other characters make a bunch of sense. I already mentioned that, the guns and the swords and the teleportation. I think all that's fine. The wisecracking attitude is fine. So I think there's a lot to like in here. And I mentioned my only ding on it is, out of all the Deadpool comics I've read, which is a lot, I don't ever remember reading one that was for mature audiences. So that part's always just kind of bugged me when they feel the need to ramp it up. But that's how he's known now. So I know I am in the minority and I'm okay with it. Like I said, it gives me an feeling, but it's not enough of an feeling to not enjoy it. I've seen all the movies. I admit I laughed and enjoyed them. I do feel they're more Ryan Reynolds vehicles than they are Deadpool movies, but they're still entertaining me. So back to your question, the essence of the comic book, I would say sure. Sure. What about you, Pat?
The only comic book that I can, kind of reference off is that early miniseries and the early appearances of him in the X books. That
he wasn't
as
sharp and witty back then.
Yeah, no, he was more of a, he was a mercenary. He was like, to me, like, oh, cool. This is like Snake Eyes, but he's red and he's got some cool look to him. And I mean, I have I got a little figure behind me of Deadpool, his first action figure. And I have that because I always thought he was a cool looking character back then with the two swords. I thought were really cool. So is he like this? Yeah, like you said, kind of. I mean, you get the sword action in the game and you can play with that, or you can play with the guns. I thought that was really cool. His attitude or things like that, that's something new that I'm not really used to in the comics. I haven't read any of the newer stuff or the stuff after that, like possibly you have, or I know Delvin.
Yeah, I read.
Delvin said he's read some stuff.
I've read a huge run of the Deadpool of the late 90s into the early 2000s.
Okay. And that's probably where he started to grow a lot better from what I know of that history. So yeah, it's definitely more geared towards the Ryan Reynolds side of it. I've seen Deadpool 3. I did enjoy it. I thought it was fun. And with that, I liked the stuff that they were bringing in from the movies and just some of that stuff that I thought was really interesting with some of the humor that they did in that as well too. So we'll give you the same.
Sure. For the most part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Pat, let's go ahead and score this game on a 1 to 10 before we get into the additional parts of the show. 1 to 10, Deadpool 2013. What do you got, Pat?
I will give this a 5. It's the middle road.
Fair.
The quality of gameplay was good. 4 to 5 hour game. 6, you can kind of stretch it out a little bit longer if you wanted to make sure you get all the achievements done and unlockable. Graphics, definitely good on the graphics. This is PS3. I think there's a PS4 version of it as well too. They didn't really skimp a lot on that. Average game. How about you?
I will bump it up just a little bit from you. I do have a bit of nostalgia on playing it, even though my memory of it isn't the best. But I remembered enjoying it, not getting too frustrated with it or anything like that. I felt like it was a fun overall experience. So I will bump it to a 7. I'll go a little higher than you. And the difference there could really be that I played it and you sort of experienced it more through watching gameplay footage. So it may be more fun to do with a controller in hand, but I think we both are like, So back to you, Pat.
Now that we've got the comic to game comparison all figured out, it's time to talk about our memories around this game. Let's hop into our DeLorean, get it up to 88 miles per hour, and talk about our memories of this game and what was going on in our lives in a segment we called Save Point. During our Save Point discussion, we'll give you some context from the time that our featured game was released by discussing video game news of that time, what was playing on TV, and what were some of the chart-topping songs. And then we're going to wrap it all up with our little personal memories of the surrounding Deadpool 2013. So here are the video game events and notable releases for June 2013.
All right, about the same time as this game is hitting the stores, so is another very famous game on June 14th of 2013. The Last of Us makes its debut. That's a fantastic game that I've also beaten.
I have not played that game, but I do have it on Steam in my large backlog that I have. So I am looking forward to getting to play that, but I've heard lots of good things about that game. I'll go ahead and cover on June 3rd. Here's a game I do know about. Final Fantasy IV is released on some Android devices out there, and Final Fantasy IV, cool game. And if you're like me, I love me some Final Fantasy. All that is there. So the earlier ones, the better. I'll say 1 through 10. I haven't played anything above that, but I do have them. Again, it's the backlog. Got to get to that backlog.
Yeah, when you're talking Final Fantasy games, it's tough to get to the backlog. And I'll bring in our third and final bullet on June 25th. The Ouya, O-U-Y-A, is released. That's an actual video game hardware system. It's an Android-based gaming system that they did a Kickstarter for, and it was successful. And so it was like this interesting little additional piece of hardware gaming that came out in 2013. Even though its Kickstarter was successful, the Ouya, if I'm pronouncing it right, ultimately was a commercial failure. The sales just didn't happen post the Kickstarter fulfillment, but it's definitely a neat looking system. So if you weren't around to get into the heyday of the Ouya Kickstarter and all that, just go ahead and Google Ouya, O-U-Y-A, video game system. Look that up on the internet and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Never heard of it. So I'll have to check that out myself. Speaking about checking things out, let's go to the top 3 TV shows released in June of 2013. And I'll start us off with number 3, The Fosters.
I got nothing.
I'm thinking it's probably one of those family shows where maybe they foster kids or something like that. It could be.
You're just making up plots for sure.
If somebody knows, let us know what The Fosters was all about.
I got nothing, but I can help you out with number 2. Very popular in summer of 2013 is Under the Dome, which is based on the Stephen King book, which is, one of his big, thick, hefty books. They made a little TV series of it in 2013. It was a mini series, Under the Dome. I remember that coming out, but I have not
seen that at all either. And I have not seen our number 1, which is Ray Donovan. I don't even know what that is as a TV show.
Ironically enough, the only thing I know about it is that it stars Liev Schreiber as Ray Donovan, he's the guy that played Sabretooth in the X-Men Origins movie.
Oh.
So it all comes back together here. I don't know anything about the show, though, but I'm looking at it now. It ran for 7 seasons. It was popular, some sort of a crime show.
Okay. It sounds like it might have been.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
They have it for the TV shows.
All right. Well, here are the top 3 songs that were playing on your favorite pop radio station during June of 2013. You want to start us off?
Sure, I'll kick us off. The number 3 song was Can't Hold Us by Macklemore. Of course, I know Macklemore from Poppin' Tags.
Yes, of course, you don't know that.
Yeah, but I do remember he had a couple other hits. Can't Hold Us. Yeah, I have a vague recollection of that. Sure.
And I'll go into the next one, which is Get Lucky by Daft Punk. And I think, time to get lucky, time to get lucky. I think that's how it is.
Oh, I just know them from their incredibly good soundtrack to Tron Legacy. That soundtrack was so good. They released another one called Tron Legacy D-Res, which has got additional music and remixes, and they're both really good. I own them both on CD. Like, I think that was the last time. Remember doing this, Pat? Since we're in the nostalgia part of things, you remember when you'd be at a movie and you'd be like, "This music is so good," you'd leave from the theater and go to
the movies. Yeah,
to
go
the
to the
music section,
music store and
buy the CD. I think that's the last time I did that.
Really?
I picked up those CDs at Best Buy like right after I left the movie theater.
Ah, cool.
They were so good.
Very cool.
And coming in at number 1, I definitely remember this one. It is Robin Thicke's Blurred
How
Lines.
thick?
Standard thickness. Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines.
He is the son of Alan Thicke.
Yes, he is, from Growing Pains.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and find out if we have any standout personal memories surrounding today's featured game. Jarrod, what is your personal memory?
You know, really just that I know I borrowed this game from my neighbor down the street. They are big comic book fans, especially the cinematic universe, this father-son duo.
Okay.
And they loaned me this game, and I remember playing it and enjoying it. Good time with it and returning it. But other than that, not a ton. Like I said, I don't have the deepest memories of this game that I had to brush up on, watch and play through. But shoot, it's been 10 years. But again, I remember liking it, not getting frustrated by it. And I definitely remember that I borrowed it from the guys down the street.
I don't have a lot about this game or somewhat the time frame, because being a dad of 2 kids in 2013, they were my big focus at the time. We did have an Xbox 360, but I think at that time my son's probably playing like the Harry Potter games. He's definitely playing like Madden on this. So around this time, that's what we're doing. Or if we got, any counseling that was going on, the games that were being played were mostly his stuff. Definitely a lot of the football games. I have maybe gotten a game or 2 here or there, thinking I'd get my chance to play on the systems. And I would have to just say I'm thankful that my son was into video games, because I can say that through those years, I continued to get the consoles for him, in air quotes, for him. And I still have them for him.
I understand.
So yeah, there's probably a lot of good RPG games, JRPG games, that I definitely need to go back to. And I'm going to say it, continue to say it here, is that with my backlog of Steam games, thankfully for Steam, it's definitely a way that I've been able to kind of get back into gaming and kind of build up a collection again through that avenue, especially when they're doing really super deep discounts. I like. But anyway,
yes,
that's my memory.
Yep. Okay. Nothing too deep this episode, folks, but maybe if Joe was here, you'd have a great one. Well, all right, Pat, let's go ahead and close this out. And we got to close the show out. We got to thank our Crusaders Club members. These are the folks that join our crusade, get the early access to special long box episodes, and get to vote on show content. In fact, I think they might have had a hand in picking this game.
I think so too.
And so much more. These are the folks reaping the benefits and giving some much appreciated support to the show.
I'll start us off with Alan W. Wright,
Angelica Wolf,
Albrin Elvis,
Bill Beer,
Billy D,
Bradley Dello,
Braxton Underwood,
Carrie,
Clinton Robinson,
Captain Entropy,
Clark Westfield,
Dave Collins, Bat Battlewagon,
Battlewagon,
Eric Hodges,
Eric Porter,
Ezra Gallo,
Gary V,
Gene Hendricks,
George Meal,
Gerald Green,
Heinz K,
Jason Keene,
Jason Lady,
Jeff Collier,
Jeremy L,
Jim Jarman. I hope you like Jim Jarman too.
Joe Man Conan,
Joe Thomas,
Miss you, Joe, John Watson,
Josh Strickland,
Candace Ward,
the MVP, Kathy Bright,
Matt and Lizzie Passo,
Mark Ross,
Maxwell Traver,
Michael Minton,
Miranda W,
P to the D to the Devons,
Paul to the Hicks,
Rick to the Jeff and Rick Present,
Ronald Easterday,
Rob Morgan,
Samantha Maney,
Sean Urbanski,
Spidey67,
Spreadsheet,
Steve Cronin,
Tim Price,
Tony Pennington,
and the one, the only, keeping the streets safe, Toronto Cop.
If we missed anyone on the list, we apologize. Keep in mind we record these episodes well in advance of release. If you're a recent edition, we'll add you soon, but no problems. You can always send email to contact@longboxcrusade.com. We will straighten it out. And if you're asking yourself how to become a Crusaders Club member, just go to patreon.com/longboxcrusade. And for as little as $1 a month, you get access to the amazing world of Crusaders Club. You should check that out. If you're pinching your pennies right now, we understand. You want to help us out? You can always subscribe to our YouTube channel at Longbox Crusade, or of course, leave comments, feedback, likes, retweets, shares, all that stuff. We appreciate the heck out of it. Speaking of which, let's get to our feedback segment. Our last episode was Batman Vengeance, which was the one based more off the animated series. It was on PS2. And we got a kind of lengthy email from our Crusaders Club member, Cluck Trent. It's Mark Ross. And it says the following. Hi, guys. I was listening to the latest Comics Console Crusade. I heard you talk about how GTA isn't your kind of game, and I had to write in. I never thought I'd ever play Grand Theft Auto from all I heard. Well, I shocked my grown daughter a year ago when I told her I'd gotten GTA 4. We'd gone to New York City a few years ago, and we were excited to go back last year. I like driving games, and I really wanted to drive around New York City in a game. Well, I found out I could do that in GTA 4. So I looked into if you could just drive around and do nothing else. You can. I got a complete save game file and a trainer mod, and I can spawn my car that I want to drive and just drive around and explore this amazing world. I've never played a single mission, but I've played for hours. My daughter said that it should have another name for the way I play it, so we call it Fun Times in Liberty City. Then this year, I saw the GTA 5 graphics, and now I'm doing the same thing with that. And I'm not the only one who appreciates games this way. I found a few YouTube channels with hours-long videos of just driving around or walking around Liberty City or San Andreas. These days, if you can get them for around $20 on sale, so give them a try if that sounds interesting. I do admit to blowing up cars every once in a while. And the other day I was driving around in the Knight Rider's kit car. Yes, it's in the game. And shooting off missiles left and right. The Batmobile and the Back to the Future DeLorean are in the game too. Thanks for another fun episode.
Wow, that is just something of an idea I've never thought about.
Yeah, right? Just play it the way you want to play it. That's how it's designed, right? Sandbox game.
Yeah. That's cool. Cool idea and cool fun to do.
Thanks for sending that in, Mark. We appreciate that. It's just a really fun spin.
Yeah. Got it. Now, man, do I need to pick up those GTA games on Steam now?
When they go on sale, you're going to have to.
Yeah, only when they're deep discount. That's when I like to buy. And, definitely no Crusader Club money is being used to do that at all. None at all.
Wait, what? What are you saying?
Nothing. No, Delvin's, he's too busy buying t-shirts. Anyway, I'll take the next one, and it is from our top fan that's out there. It's Scotty Cameron. And Scotty says, I can't help but to say it's a proto-Arkham game because some of the gliding and stealth mechanics do appear in those games later on.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely sort of the
precursor, yeah.
Agree with you wholeheartedly, Scotty, and thanks for the comment. And also thanks to Clinton Robinson, who said, oh, that one. Okay, going to be fun. And he's right. Yeah, it was a fun little game. We got some additional comments, some really good comments from Scotty over on YouTube. and they're very in-depth and lengthy. And normally I would read that, but as I ported them over here, that type is so small.
I'm straining at it myself right now.
It's not your fault, man. Scotty. It's the way it got formatted on our script. And man, I could pick out some things. So I apologize for not reading them all, Scotty, but I see you referencing Batman Rise of Sin Tzu, which is another game based off the animated Batman. And I want to say that was more of a 2 or 4 player beat 'em up style game. That was a lot of fun. I see you mentioning Adventures of Batman and Robin, which I played on the Genesis. There's a few different versions of that game. The Genesis one is fantastic. Hopefully we'll be able to cover it on the show at some point. I'm just really sorry that this formatting messed it up. It's like I could barely pick out certain words.
I see he's talking about some of the stealthness of the game, but
okay.
The wording's so small, it's hard for me to see.
Yeah, again, Scotty, that's our bad. That's funny, Pat. Our bad, Scotty, for the bad formatting. We kind of host ourselves on that. But thank you so much for your contributions. I know you comment on multiple platforms, and we appreciate the heck out of that and your engagement, buddy. Really do. Pat, why don't you give the folks a reminder of how they can get in touch with us if they want to chat about the show and have us screw up their formatting to make it difficult to read? Let them know where they can find us out there.
Well, Jarrod, I'm glad you asked. You can find any of our many, many fine programs on anywhere where you get your excellent podcasts are found. We're also on YouTube, or you can visit us on the website at www.longboxcrusade.com. If you'd like to keep the conversation going with us, go ahead and hit us up on our social media sites. That is on X, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just look for Longbox Crusade and you will find us on those platforms. And we invite you to do that. Just get out there, interact with us, and have some fun. Or you can kick it old school and send us an email at contact@longboxcrusade.com, and we'll get that passed around to the crew members, and we'll respond back to you. Finally, you can also leave us a voice message at 707-532-5269. That number again is 707-532-LBOX.
Pat, because I'm a pure genius, I just realized our bad formatting and bringing in the comments. I just went to YouTube and now I can see Scotty's comments. So I'm going to circle back on some comments from Scotty.
All right.
We were right. He did say a few things I don't recall us mentioning were the stealth takedowns and the combo moves.
Ooh, combos. I like combos. Yep, peanut butter ones.
And there's a power meter that fills up that allows you to perform a special move to, as he says, save your bacon. To get a significant portion of your enemy's health bar down. 5 available to unlock. Yeah, we didn't dig deep enough. Scotty's got that insight.
He's got some.
Clearly, he's into this game.
Yeah.
And another similarity with Arkham, as he mentions in here, in the Arkham games, you can build those up. And he talks about some of the cheats that are available. There's like unlimited handcuffs, unlimited power meter, which gives you the unlimited combo moves, health and visibility. Like he goes into all the cheat stuff, which is really cool.
Wow. And on Scotty.
Yes. And then he went on to mention, because he must have heard us talk about how the Game Boy Advance version clearly was different because it didn't have the hardware. Yeah. He said it's a very different game. It follows the same story as the other versions, but his gameplay is more akin to the Adventures of Batman and Robin. That's how I picked up on that comment earlier. He also mentions the Game Boy Color game Batman Chaos in Gotham, another side-scrolling game. So yeah, we covered most of it, but he gave us a bunch of stuff to chew on, and he's clearly a fan of the game. And I'm glad I was able to find where we got those comments from.
That's good. And we appreciate Scotty, like Jarrod said before. We really appreciate you making comments, liking and sharing everything you're doing. Scotty does mean a lot to us, so we really appreciate it.
Definitely. Thanks, bud. All right. I want to thank Pat for being here. I want to say we missed you, Joe. We look forward to Joe's return.
Pat. I miss him. I kind of half miss him.
Oh, because of halfsies. I get it.
But, he'll be gone till November.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, look at me. I got the jokes.
Anyway,
I'm like Deadpool. I got the
breaking the fourth wall.
Oh, there we go.
Anyways, hopefully Joe will be back next episode. We're trying to make sure that he is. We just want to get this one out because it's been a while since we've done a comics to console. So we want to get you guys one, talk a little bit about Deadpool. Don't forget to share your thoughts on the Deadpool game with us. out there on the social medias. Thanks for joining us, and we hope that you will continue to join us as we go on a crusade to play them all.
The music themes for this show are done by musical genius Joe November. Please check out his SoundCloud at Joseflin99. That's JOSEFLIN99. You will not regret it.
I did not think it wise to overwhelm you while your memory was still fragile. So rather than that, I thought it best to assume a temporary form. The princess